Welcome to everyone and welcome to the Travel Talk Conclave. Our topic today is going to be travel in 2021, expectations from a part vaccinated world. We're getting the show on the ground now, friends, and I like to, today's first session today is vaccination and the second wave of COVID. Where is travel headed? In fact, this is a confusion with a lot of us are going through, because sometimes we have a cure and not. But before that, you know what's happened. This is a World War III, if I may say that, or a World War we've all been fighting. The whole world is trying to save people from this COVID and this pandemic. And I can safely say we are winning. We're winning the war. In fact, the light under the tunnel is now becoming brighter. A lot of countries have the vaccine and are vaccinating their people. So a lot's basically happening. Having said this, over the last decade, the GCC has transformed into a global hub of travel and tourism, attracting visitors from all over the world. That we all know very, very well. According to UNWTO, they said this region of the Middle East is poised to attract 195 million visitors by 2030. Even if I were removing 1 year or 2020 and 2031, that's a lot of visitors we are going to be looking at. Pre-COVID, we witnessed a rapid development to meet the growing demands of international travelers who were coming over here. And during COVID, I can safely say that the Middle East took the lead in restarting tourism and encouraging domestic holidays and staycations. We have seen that. In fact, all of us do want to go out for holidays and staycations. That's what we're doing. Now, actually, that's full credit to the Middle East, I would say. Now the region is leading in the race of vaccinating and most of its residents against COVID-19. That's what basically is happening. Today, actually, friends, I've joined with 3 experts who are actually leaders and professionals who are going to talk about the resurgence of travel and what we can expect in the coming year or maybe even next year. That's what we're going to hear our experts today. So let me introduce you to our experts. When I say your name, please, if you could raise your hand, that'd be wonderful. First is Arijit Munshi, is the General Manager of Tune Protect, EMEIA. He is an online facilitator of travel and non-travel products. Can I ask one of you if all of you could switch off go on mute, please, because there's a sound coming from the back, if it's possible. He's an online facilitator of travel and non-travel products via strategic partnership within the region. He has been instrumental in setting up Tune Protect within the region, encompassing Europe, Middle East, India, and Africa. So I think he's literally traveled the whole world, Arijit. Arijit strives to make Tune Protect a leading digital protection facilitator within the region, offering unique value propositions through a robust use of digital technology. So you're going to be hearing a lot from this gentleman. That's what basically it is. Welcome, Arijit. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Our next gentleman is Mamoun Hamdam, who has been with us today. Many of you know him. He's the Managing Director for Middle East, North Africa, and India of Vigo. Drawing on more than a decade of experience in the region, Mamoun passionately drives revenue, market growth, and leads the region's operation for Vigo. He began the role in 2014 when he focused on developing the product and playing an integral role in expanding the company's portfolio. Mamoun today leads a growing innovating team of Vigo, Dubai headquartered. Mamoun, pleasure to have you here with us today. It's good to see you again. Our third and last gentleman we have is, never the least, I would say, is Ram Sumesh Menon. He is the CEO of Go Sabaibi Tours in Bahrain. With 28 years of experience in travel and tourism and hospitality industry practices, Ram, if I'm going to call him that, has been driving new initiatives. He's a digital transformation specialist. That's what he talks about. And usually I would have Ram thought a very young gentleman over there in the 20s and 30s. But when I see you there, it's such a pleasure to see somebody who's passionate about the whole thing, about technology advancements. It's such a good to have you here. His focus interests are on harnessing the power of digital data analysis. He talks about AR and AI. AR would be augmented reality and artificial intelligence. Technology integrates them with mobile platforms and marketing application in the travel, tourism, and the hospitality domains. So we have really a good technology expert with us today who's going to talk about how the future looks like. So I'm not going to say any more. I think I've said a lot. And let me start with Arijit. Why don't you go first and say your opening remarks, and then we'll continue. Over to you, Arijit.
Thank you, Sanjeet. I think I was just kind of thinking about it when you did mention that there'll be an opening remark. I think one of the most important things is today we are in a state of, change is the only constant factor. I think that is the most important thing. I mean, we always hear this famous phrase. I mean, I've been hearing it from the time I started working, but today, really, I mean, every day is changing. Every day the environment is changing. And I think that's the most important thing, which I've said it in a couple of other discussions also. We are actually unlearning what we have learned in the last 20, 25 years in the travel industry, and we're equipping ourselves to manage this change. I think this is one of the most important factors, and I'm sure we are all aware, and we're all working towards it. Thank you, Sanjeet. Sanjeet, you're mute, Sanjeet.
My apologies. My apologies. I do understand. Sorry, my next speaker, of course, is he's been with us earlier, is Mamun. Over to you. Let's hear your opening remarks and what you'd like to talk about.
Thank you, Sanjeet, and thanks for my colleagues and all the attendees. When I thought about an opening remark, to be honest, that similar to what Ajit said, it's been like now 12 or 13 months of like daily challenges within worldwide and within our industry specifically. I think as an industry, especially in the digital online travel space, we've been enjoying few good years. I would say from 2015 up until 2019, where things like booming, double-digit growth yearly, safer world, people were traveling more, people were discovering more, lots of alternative accommodation options, made travel easier, lots of efforts, lots of content, social media played a role. I think nobody was really prepared for facing such a huge challenge and figure out a way to deal with it. I think we went through so many ups and downs during 2020 and up until now. We can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, things will go back, maybe differently, maybe not in the same way that we got used to before, but we got so many learnings as well. Lots of learnings, lots of experience, lots of communications with our audience, with our users. We got to know them more. They got to rely on us more as a business, as a product, as a an application or a tool they have in their pockets. I think we can build on that and find a way to fight this more and more, and hopefully go back into what we used to see in the past few years, potentially starting end of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Maun. Well, I'm coming down to Ram Somesh now. Let's hear your opening remarks. What would you like to say? Over to you.
Thanks, Sanjit, for the excellent introduction, and as well as my colleagues who started with a very, very apt subject of change and build. And I just wanted to take it forward from there. And then I just wanted to start from a very famous quote, which says, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. It's from Socrates. So as you see here is that we have been going through this changes since the last few months, more than a year now. But then I think, we see a kind of different kind of an audience, the people thinking differently. One is trying to fight the old system and trying to see how they would want to come out of the situation, survive the situation, while there's another school of thought who would want to see, accept this change, accept this new way of life, what they call as the new normal. So the prudent people are looking at how to adapt their circumstances with the new scenarios which is coming up and what needs to be done. So as we said, change is constant, and we need to start building fresh, something new. So this is where we are today.
All right, thank you, Ram. Thanks a lot. Now what I'm going to do is I have some questions for all of you. So anybody can take whatever questions you like. But however, if I direct it to you people, I leave it totally to you. Somebody else can also answer that. You're welcome. And I'm going to start with you, Arijit. You did mention about unlearning a lot of things. That's what you did mention. But I want to really ask you, at this stage of where we are situated, is consumer confidence is of prime concern. The consumer today is very varying, especially when it comes to travel. He doesn't even want to look at it kind of situation. How are you building that? And what expectations do you have from the airline or the hospitality industry? Actually, this is meant for all of you though. How will you protect travel in future? That's something which is going to be a very, very important concern for everybody. And how are you going to build, what I say, confidence of the traveler to travel with what I call is peace of mind? So that's what's going to be. Arijit, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. I think the most important thing is, and I must highlight that, within the travel industry ecosystem, it's no longer dependent on one segment. All of us have to take a part. We have to build this together. And I think that's the most important, because the journey of a traveler is right from the time he is in touch with the person who is offering the service, right up to the point he is traveling and he reaches a destination, to the point he comes back and goes home. So the fact is that it is no more. That's the key thing we all need to understand, that we cannot act individual from an individual perspective. We need to make sure that all of us are working together to boost the confidence of the consumer or the traveler. I think that's the most important thing. And you can see that today, that when you are booking an airline ticket or booking a hotel or going into a travel agency space or an online, you see that today that the information which is now available is far more than it was there before. So I think we're already in the right steps. We're educating the customer, we're educating ourselves. And that's exactly when I said unlearning. Unlearning was, initially we would be only offering and promoting that product, that service, and talking about it. Now there's a lot of other things around it which we need to talk about, Sanjeev. So that's my perspective on this question.
Okay, point taken. But I'm going to come to you, Mamuna. The same question exactly, but I really also want to add to this a little bit, would be because that peace of mind becomes very important, because until you are able to tell your customer that everything is going to be okay and you can go happy and come back happy, how would you look at that from that point of view?
So in reality, when the whole pandemic started, let's say around March last year across the region here, we straight away thought of what's going to be our strategy now. We knew that aircrafts are grounded. There's no travel happening. But we also have a huge user base here. We're talking more than 24 million users. And we thought that the most effective way that actually turn all our communication into becoming informative and useful, if that's the right way. So we started providing them with lots of content. We started using our blogs. We started using our social media, keep the communication going, telling them what's happening, what's going on, keep the engagement at the high level. We opened so many threads with them. We participated in many webinars. many events. On the B2B side, also we try to activate our PR side of things to the B2C side of things. All of those together, within like 2 to 3 months, when things got a bit, more settled, I would say, or people got to deal a bit with the new normal, if that's the word. We started seeing the engagement level going high. We started seeing people. We called them dreamers at that point of time. People started searching, started to figure out ways that where they would be potentially traveling at the nearest opportunity. So that maintained us from one side, and also gave us lots of learning, where we started developing loads and loads addition to the product, where basically we become more relevant within the situation. I think we are in a region here when we talk about GCC where things have been pretty much under control compared to many other places around the world. Vaccination is going at scale now. I think that's sort of helping the situation. We've seen the traction. If we take domestic Saudi as a market, which started reactivating, reoperating flights back in June, I would say we've seen that the demand is there, the momentum is there. People do want to travel, do want to experience, for various reasons, of course. Maybe different type of travelers. We can elaborate on that later if you wish. Maybe different ways to consume travel products at the moment. But at the end of the day, people do have the need for travel, and they will follow whatever is there, as long as you provide them with the right information, as long as you give them the easiest way for them to browse what's required for them to go from A to B at this point of time. And that's something we did. We worked on quite a lot, and we've seen lots of traction around that. And I think the engagement level is I would say as near as it could be to where it used to be before the entire pandemic hit the region.
So what you're saying is basically is information to the customer. That's what you're trying to reach out. But in your introduction remark, you said, which I want to really come back to. That's what I'm asking you at this stage. You said a lot of people have started to rely upon agents. How would you interpret that? What exactly that means? They're coming back to the OTAs. They're coming back to the old agencies. How is it working? Because that's what I thought. If you could throw some light on that.
So basically, see, the OTAs were kind of taking a huge share. I mean, for us, we're in the meta space. So we are in the aggregator space where people come to compare. So we work with everyone. We work with the airlines, the OTAs on the flights and hotel side. And yeah, some of the OTAs, I think, who were like famous with the hard sell, discounts, coupons, this kind of approach to the customers, who just went completely on silent during the pandemic, lost lots of shares. Those who managed to keep the communication happening, keep the momentum happening, became informative, and changed the whole communication strategy, I think those are going to be the winners now. And we started to see that. It's not a price concern anymore. It's basically way more than price at the moment. It's the safety, it's the information, the destination level, what are the protocols, what are the procedures, how do we do it? Is it going to be a health passport later or no? Is it something IATA will do on a government level? Is it Norway versus I don't know where? People are consuming a huge amount of content and information and news. Many of those are just predictions. So many of those are just fake. Remember at the beginning, people, many articles were put about how the design of the aircraft. People started imagining design of aircrafts that are going to keep the seats in the middle. Everybody said the economy is no longer there. It's going to be all business class. These kind of stuff were kind of confusing people. I think those who played role in clarifying, and come out with the outcome of that and put it in front of the users and the audience are the ones who's gonna win. People will stick to digital. Digital is gonna go back as it was on the rise. Travel agents, yeah, I think that they were facing challenges, and I believe that they're going to face a bit more of a challenges moving forward unless they figure out a way to go whether it's fully digital or on a hybrid model.
Thank you. I agree with you totally. And I want to move on to Ram now. Ram Sumesh, well, you heard both of them talk about technology and how that's going to play a very, very important role. But since I want to ask you on something on technology, which if you would like to look at it, well, everybody's saying that technology is set to be a driver of tourism for the future, and that the way in this 1 year everybody has started learning about technology. I don't think we learned in 10 years. What technology innovation would you like to see in process of the travel? What do you think is going to be happening, and what noteworthy trends can we identify which is going to happen in the future? So let's hear your point of view on that, Ram.
Well, Sanjit, actually, I wanted to link from the previous point of relevance between a travel agent and a technology perspective and an OTA. So these two spaces have been there, and I primarily, I still, run a typical, a travel management company with more of offline services as well, while we have most of our processes completely kind of digitalized. Having said that, what we need to understand here is the link. I'm trying to bridge the conversation here between what my other panelists have said, is about how technology can be made relevant in the context today. So we have the consumer, the traveler, who is exposed to so much of information through the internet, and there's another side where the supplies, which are which is transforming itself into, say for example, if you're looking at the ICAO guidelines that have been given. There are more than 5 stages. There are about 5 stages of a recovery process before we get into a much more comfortable, normalized operation. And the driver for that driver for recovery is going to be technology adaptation. Now, part of these guidelines are for the airports. Then it's about the airlines themselves, then the people who are selling it, and then who are propagating this. And now there's another 4th kind of a dimension to this, that is the medical community, who is actually kind of authorizing the people to travel. So how these multiple points are. How can this be done? So the only way to bring all of them together is a common platform, and that is through technology, solutions. So, for example, many of the airports have started, touchless experiences. So we've started seeing that in many airports, like in India, we have the Bangalore International Airport, and then in the Middle East we see Abu Dhabi, Dubai. Likewise, many other airports have started adapting themselves, the leaders, Singapore, so Heathrow. So if you look at that way, there are many airports now slowly adapting, or rather not slowly, quickly trying to adapt, to start receiving and handle these kind of clientele. So touchless technology is something that is coming through. And second is about digital integration, about all the information onto a smart phone application. So as we speak right now, many countries are showing an urgency to open up, and one of the drivers for that is, again, they're talking about showing up the approvals, the authorizations to travel. Either they have done the PCR test or they have been vaccinated. So many new countries, like including Bahrain, Israel, and then of course IATA Travel Pass, pilot operations by Singapore, Etihad, by Emirates, British Airways, Copa Air. There are many of them today who are coming up with what they call as an IATA Travel Pass. So these are probably going to be the new scenarios that you're going to see. And of course, when I say augmented reality and biometrics, these are all going to be new experiences the consumers are going to be experiencing in the new journeys that they're going to take. But I definitely want to remind everybody today is that never has been a time during this like the period that we've gone through in this last 13 months. The travel agent has become even more important despite all these technology advancements, because in terms of reliable information, in terms of giving the right kind of advice, in terms of giving the right kind of I would say responses, because initially when this pandemic came up, the airlines had so many versions of cancellations and refunds, so it was a total chaos among all the customers and the consumers. So we had to respond to all of them very, very patiently, and to give the correct kind of information, and keeping the communications on mostly digitally, because most of us today are still many parts are still working from home. So this is very important, that we need to be digitally connected, and this communication should go on. So yes, technology is have to be used to enable the services even more efficiently. I would put it that way. Technology is not going to replace human, but then it needs to be used to make it more efficient. It needs to enable processes more efficiently, while the human factors will remain, and will remain for long.
So human factors will be there more than machines. Okay, well taken, Ram. I know a lot of you have been sending me questions, but please, none of you are mentioning from where you are. Some of you have, so please do mention where you are based at the moment, where you're asking the questions. So I'm going to come to you, Arijit, and my specific question to you would be that the Middle East at the moment is aggressively vaccinating their residents. In light of this, what kind of a tourism message do you expect from the countries abroad to attract more tourists? What's going to happen, and how would you people play a role in this? That's what I thought I'll ask you.
Thank you, Sanjeet. I was going through some of the news, and I just got. I saw on CNN there's been a line where there are about I think 8 countries which have opened up to vaccinated travelers, and I just see even we see a group of people who travel to Thailand. I mean, I think that's the message which is resonating to everybody, that I think the most important thing is you need to protect yourself. You need to protect the others you're traveling. So I think the governments are taking a stand, which is very good, that you need to make sure that you're aware of the rules and regulations. And if you're vaccinated, fantastic, well done, welcome to the country. And I think that's exactly the message which is going out to everybody across the world. And the most important thing, going back to some of the comments made by Ram, Sumesh, and Mamoon, is I think technology, it needs to kind of disperse that information. I mean, what do you need to do to go to a country? Technology needs to be nimble. Technology needs to manage the change. When I say manage the change, it's not about only the fact is that, hey, these are rules and regulations, but the fact is that it needs to manage the change from a product delivery. I mean, whether it's a service, whether it is, the seat, whether it is a car, it needs to deliver the service based on the requirements, which meets both, which is the consumer, the traveler, and the destination of where you're going to. So I think, in short, this is how the new norm, which is now converted, is going to be. So yes, this is the change we are all looking for, and in the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer day by day. Thank you, Sanjeet.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to come to Mamun. I really want to ask you something which is a little different, just a little taking you a little away from the other point of view. Most of the countries, I would say, there's a second wave of COVID which has come through. Some of them even say third wave. Many of them are mutating themselves. It's a new thing which is coming up. What, in your opinion, is going to be the short-term future of this industry as far as they're concerned? And what do you think will be 1921 and early 22 look like from travel and tourism point of view?
Well, I don't want to get into a physician or the doctor space at the moment, in the medical space, but I think we're going to see many waves and strains, and COVID is going to stay with us for a while. I mean, this is a fact we need all to agree on. I think we all agree. Vaccination is going at scale. There are many vaccines out there now at the moment. I think this is the way out of this, or at least something that will put things on ease a little bit. From an industry perspective, where do we see things going? If we look at the travelers traditionally pre-COVID from the GCC and what they were doing before, right? So many big portion of that travel was happening for business related, so loads of business travel. That area, I think, is going to take a bit of time to recover. I wouldn't say it's going to be dead. I wouldn't say it's going to be replaced with the likes of Zoom and Teams. Yeah, part of that is definitely going to go, and they're going to stay forever. But the face-to-face part is going to still be there. The regional operations for companies are going to be there. Every one of us has got a few employees in different locations around the world or across the region that they really want to see, they really want to meet. And that's going to happen at some point of time. Maybe not at the same pattern or at the same level how it used to be. We used to see lots of expats going back home. I think that's the first to recover. Once within the region specifically, the Jordanians will go back to Jordan, the Lebanese, the Syrian, the Indians. I think those we're going to see them going this summer, hopefully, if the other side of the borders are open, if the flights are in operation, if the vaccine and COVID-related travel new protocols are in place and in agreement. I think we're going to see that. I think that's the first wave to recover. We used to see leisure a lot as well. I mean, we used to see lots of people going to Europe, going to the US, going to Asia from the region here. I think that part is going to recover at a smaller scale and a completely different way. We're not going to see a big group of families going for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks anymore. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see more millennials, more couples travel. We started to see that anyway. We're gonna see shorter trips, 4 or 5 days. We used to see multi-destinations. I think that's gonna go less and less right now. People will go to one destination. Destinations with outdoor offering is gonna win for sure versus the indoor type of destinations. Those will work. We saw UAE at the end of the year where they started putting that campaign of the nicest or coolest winter. That played a role. We could see Dubai full of tourists around Christmas time, New Year, especially December, January. That sort of approach will resonate very well with the travelers that's gonna come. I personally feel that 2021 will end with like a nice percentage of recovery compared to 2019. If we use 2019 as the highest year for travel in the history and as a benchmark, I think we're gonna get close to more than 50%, recovering more than 50% of what we used to see in 2019. And hopefully, if everything go at the same pattern, the momentum start to build up, potentially we see things back to 2019 level, whether late 2022 or early 2023. Hopefully, it all depends. I mean, we counted a lot ourselves, to be honest. When we were doing our own internal forecasts, and planning and all that, we counted a lot of that around on the intra GCC. we thought those countries, small populations, wealthy countries, they can put things quite fast together. They could build that sort of bridges and travel corridors between each other. It didn't happen, unfortunately. But I'm sure with the vaccination scale happening across the countries here, specifically UAE, Saudi, Kuwait to follow, I think we're gonna see that happening faster and faster. So all of those factors together will drive the momentum towards hopefully closing 2021 with at least a positive rate, I would say, and 2022 to be the year where we go back to where we were pre-COVID, hopefully.
But you did mention 23 also, so that could go after that as well.
It will. It all depends, right? Once again, I mean, it's gonna be a different type of travelers, different booking value, everything's gonna be different, right? And we start seeing everybody. See, I remember back in the days when COVID was really, at scale, talking May, June, around those days. Everybody said, okay, the likes of Airbnb, the likes of alternative accommodations are gonna go. Right? Nobody's going to trust them anymore. People will go back to the big branded hotels, because they will trust their safety. Yeah. Within the pandemic, Airbnb became the most expensive travel brand. And we could see people preferring alternative accommodation over hotels. You don't know how people are going to react to this. It's a new generation. They view things differently. Obviously, there are so many trust factors in place that you would consider that normally you wouldn't think of, and that's gonna tell us how things will go. So this year is gonna be a pilot. If vaccination go at the same level that we are expecting, hopefully worldwide, and there are proper regulations and protocols in place, 2022 I think is gonna be the actual year of recovery, and yeah. Let's see. 2023 is going to be, my pessimistic sort of scenario.
But Sajid, sorry if I may, Mamoon. I mean, what we've been witnessing since last year, and I firmly believe a lot of these changes will remain for years to come. I mean, today, I was the other day I was discussing with my friends, and I say it looks like we are in the era of QR code. I mean, you walk into a restaurant today, nobody's giving you a menu today. It's a QR code. I mean, today, if you order food, you also have an option called contactless delivery. I mean, unheard of. It was never there. So I think, I mean, these are very good initiatives. It's I think has an overall impact. I mean, one is from the environment perspective. One is from the fact that the technology companies are also providing these options. So I think it's going to be here for, I mean, this will remain for a long, long time to come. I mean, we are in the age of dynamic adaptation, I think. I mean, that's the age we are in today. That, I mean, whether it's technology or not technology, how quickly we're adapting to the needs. I think that's become the baseline for everything today around us. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more with you. I totally agree with you on that. Ram, I'm going to come to you now, but I'm going to look a little diversion on the thing. Let's talk about something which we've not spoken about and which was a very, very important aspect before. I'm talking about here is MICE and I'm talking about luxury. These were two very, very predominant things which were there. Now, my point to you is, how do you think so this is going to evolve in now and in the coming years? And do you think this demand will go back to its original level? And second thing, do you think people will spend the same kind of money in this? Because what we're doing today, like this is supposed to would have been done face to face, but now we are sitting on technology and using it. So what's going to happen as far as MICE is concerned? And I'm clubbing luxury with that also. Ram.
Well, thanks, Sanjit. We need to probably answer this into two different perspectives. First is, let's look at, if you're looking at MICE, as you said that, the word, we're talking about meetings, incentives, and conferences. Now, while my other panelists did mention that, the business travel definitely is going to take much more longer time to restart. So even when the one-to-one conversations, one-to-one meetings itself are going to take much more longer time. So with more stringent protocols in place, So meeting in groups and meeting or any activities in groups in closed doors, let me tell you, in closed doors are still a no-no. But then, as I said, like what Arjit had mentioned just now, we need to adapt to this new situation, because the point is that is most corporates today, find their resources working from home, and which are more kind of sales driven activities. So people do want to go out and then trying to explore something different. So, well, what might come forward, what would look at emerging is small groups, but then very, very distinctively with very clearly kind of outdoor activity driven programs might be the ones to start off initially. But then formal conventions and conferences, I don't think they are really going to happen in the near future. We are seeing, for example, in our own industry itself, we are seeing various expos and conferences have been called off and have been converted to a virtual platform. So as long as I would want to say that is when travel reaches a crescendo, when it can happen only beyond 2023 and 2024. That's I would wanted to really restate the expectation, because that's the expectation given by IATA. So towards end of 2023 or early 2024 is what they see, that they would really reach the numbers of 2019. So that means that was the period when the entire industry was enjoying both the business travelers, the leisure travelers, luxury travelers, and also the hordes of MICE travelers. So really speaking, MICE to restart can happen in small ways, but then it really cannot happen in big ways in the ways to come. So looking at the other point of luxury travel, I would say more than in the past, there is definitely going to be a demarcation, because this luxury segment has been always a niche and a very upmarket segment. But then what's going to happen now is this differentiation between the upmarket and the majority middle classes, this gap is going to expand. So it's going to be more profound, because nothing is going to come so-called, I don't want to use the word cheap, but then it's not going to be low priced anymore. Because if for luxury traveler today is like is definitely is going to be the first starters for travel. But then people are talking about everything private. We're talking about private jets. We're talking about private tours. That there is an operator now who is taking, like we used to have those Thomas Cooks and Cosmos's coach tours. Now we see a private a chartered airplane taking a few of them all around, like they're going on an itinerary like a cruise ship. They're creating itineraries within various places, and they're going around. So that means it's a closed group, but then they're still flying and they're doing things. So everything is getting private, private tours, private jets, private cars. Even cars are being given to rent cars are being given to them privately, and even now certain luxury hotels are adapting, have renovated, are trying to create specific spaces, private dining spaces for people, to explore and to enjoy themselves. And then properties now creating private, spas and swimming pools and things like that. So this is not going to come easy. This is not going to be coming cheaper. Yes. So it's a very, very highly niche segment. So what we need to look at is the mass tourism is not going to take off any soon, but then this niche market is definitely emerging. And then if if from the travel agents, if they would look at this as a big opportunity, they need to adapt themselves to understand the needs of these luxury travel, because there it's more of services. And as I said, we know for some of these hotels, I know in hotels in Dubai itself, people are straight away, there is no check-in process. They're straight away being checked in directly into their villas. They drive in and they park their cars and drive straight away into their villas. So these are really the new kind of things. Of course, this is a trend which is happening right now. So and then new segment coming up is on the cruise, small segment, but then very niche again is chartered yachts. These are something which is coming up. This is a new segment for the luxury traveler. So and these kind of corridors, green corridors being created. I heard Arjit said, about 7 to 8 countries have started, but these are all kind of these targeting the mass tourism. But then the ones which is looking at the luxury tourism is between Israel and Greece. Recently, they started something called as the green passport and the green corridor. So this is something to be looked at, because Greece is again a place for a lot of highly luxury, locations with its numerous islands. So they see a lot of potential from Israel, and the same way they are looking at something like this happening. So the restoring the consumer confidence is very important, especially with these uber luxury, clientele. So that's definitely going to be the new trend.
Fair enough, Ram. I think you're well said on the points. But friends, we are really now short of time, and I know a lot of you have raised a lot of questions for our experts. So I'm going to read these questions out one by one, and I'd like you to answer. But please, my panelists, because we're really short of time, please be very brief on the answers. Don't go on long. So the first question, any of you can take it. I'll leave that totally to you, whoever would like to answer this. This question is from Maria from Bahrain. She's saying, is there a demand for leisure holidays currently? Are people planning family vacations abroad? Who would like to take it?
Can I answer that? Because being from Bahrain, can I answer that?
No, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, there is currently the demand for leisure is, I would say, is very cold at this point of time. But people are looking at new destinations. They are looking at places to get inspired. People are starting to plan. As I said, they are looking at the summer season starting after the Eid holidays. So there's a window that's coming up. So people are looking up, but then things for leisure travel is still is starting, but then it's just that how the other countries are opening up. So it depends on those countries opening up and the travel restrictions.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm moving on now. This is, sorry, I haven't got your name, Jayu from Kuwait. He's saying, what is your takeaway on the IATA health passport? Who would like to take this? Mamoon, go ahead.
Mamoon, sorry, go ahead, please.
Well, so for me, it's yet to be communicated, to be honest. I mean, IATA made some announcements. There will be some sort of a health passport. See, many theories out there. We don't really know. Seriously, we don't know. There will be some sort of protocol in place, definitely, led by IATA or by somebody else. It all depends on the vaccination, on what type of vaccine the traveler has got, what sort of certificate we will be getting. These kind of stuff are not yet, I would say, put in a proper common practice yet. But there will be something, definitely. I would expect something digitally, something linked to your biometric passport or linked to your passport that straight away will ease things. And at the check-in point at the airport, the moment they scan your passport, they will get that piece of information within the rest of the information they get normally. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Harish from Dubai. What kind of communication can we build now in the reopening phases? How can we attract the new buyers or people who may want to experience your products? Arijit, go ahead.
Yes, Sanjeev, thank you. So I think, way back in August, in fact, we partnered with a company which was basically to provide information. Now, the information was nothing to do with our products, but the information was about what are the rules, regulations, what are the documentations you need, whether you need to be vaccinated, is there a quarantine at that destination? I think that is the first step. I mean, that information is very, very crucial and critical to promote any product and service today. I mean, those products and services are already there. And I mean, with a little bit of change to manage that, the new norm of travel or the now norm of travel, I think it is extremely important that the information should be there to boost the customer confidence. And I think automatically things will fall into place. So thank you.
Okay, Arijit, in fact, I'm going to request all of you to be brief, but I want to take another question, Arijit, to you. This is from Kishore. He hasn't specified where is he from. What kind of message would the clients want to hear from you now? Is it not only about digital marketing, or is it only about digital marketing?
No, I think, like I said, it's the era of QR code or contactless. So it's not about, I think, Sanjeev, it's not about marketing. I mean, it's our delivery system. It's our technology, our digital. How quickly are we able to evolve or deliver a product or a service given the requirement of that country or the arriving station, or even, I mean, what you're doing in your home country? I think that is the most important. I think marketing today is more on what is happening in every single country and educating. So it's not just got to do with a product or a service. It's got to basically tell them, hey, when you come in, this room is perfectly sanitized and this is what we have done. It's a totally different messaging which has to go in. So coming back to the digital now, it has to be nimble, it has to be quick. And the most important is for all of us within this panel, how are we going to change that product? How are we going to deliver that product? I think that's the most important thing.
Fair enough. Thank you. I'm going to ask, Mamoon, I'm going to ask you this question. This is from Thomas. Do you think that traditional travel agents will be more favored over the OTAs in the coming year?
Good question. No. I mean, if we agree that we are in the QR age at the moment, if you want to call it, if we agree that e-commerce has been on the rise, if we agree that smartphone is leading the world at the moment, and technology is leading the world, it's going to be hard to believe that travel agents, the offline model, is going to be really the winner out of this. People are more connected to their phones. They are, closer to their phones. Time consumption on that is great, and very familiar with doing everything online. Simple as that. So, travel has been at that rise before, and it's going to continue.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I'm going to come to Ram. A quick answer. In fact, I know, Dinesh, you have asked a couple of questions, but I'm sorry, I'm really out of time. His question is, corporate travel will definitely get impacted with the video conferences which are being there today, which is a normal now. That has been a key part of regional tourism. How do you expect these to fill up this vacuum now? Because if the meetings are not taking place, what will happen in the future? Ram?
Thanks, Sanjit. The answer to this is that we address this point as well. The face-to-face contacts are still critical in business closures. So this may not be to the scale what it used to be before in the past, where the basic level conversations and the initial discussions do take place still in this new format of the virtual meetings. But having said that, at least when it is coming to kind of a sign off, or kind of to get to an agreement about some kind of to clinch a deal, still they are doing face to face. I was just reading a quick article is that somebody from Japan had wanting to do a smartphone technology initiative, and then they had a supplier from China. So they couldn't kind of go through all these kind of processes, and they just they take a private jet, flew down to Japan, and then clinched the deal in a single day. So it depends on it depends on what's the deal and what's in it for them. Does it really warrant for them to travel? Is it really going to be important for them to go and have a premise engagement? It depends on what kind of businesses are you in. If you are in an e-commerce platform, you could still do it with virtually. But then if you still are something to do with real estate and where you need to physically see, view, and there's plant and machinery. So it depends on what kind of business that the corporate is involved in. So these dynamics, of course, will start evolving as the corporate travel and opens up.
Sanjeet, you're mute.
You're mute again.
Sorry about that. I just want to, since we are really short of time now, we need to end up, and I'm going to give each one of you a minute to say your final words. Ram, I'm going to start with you, and what I really want to say is, what are the best practices do you recommend, or whatever, in 1 minute? And with that, I want to ask one question, in fact, to all three of you. This is asked by Jacob, Mr. Casey, and Ross. What are your expectations from the Expo 2020 in Dubai? Would that help tourism? That's what they've all asked. So anyway, go with it first, Ram.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjit. Well, the Expo 2020 is definitely a big expectation in this region. That was long looked at, actually. But yes, we would definitely see that this is going to add a lot more of curiosity for people to travel to Dubai, and the need for people to travel, and this definitely is a reason for initiating travel. But my parting remarks for this session is yes, the travel agents are have to stay, but then as long as they are able to adapt and convert their business and adopt their businesses to deliver everything, their products and services through the smartphone. So it's kind of a hybrid kind of a business model is what they would want to look into. And so this is what we want to look into. I just want to add one more small point of the travel. IATA Travel Pass is basically, airlines like Singapore Airlines, Emirates, and Etihad, they have already started the pilot part of it. Basically, what it does is it makes things, like I say, the technology makes it very nimble right now. So it makes all the authorities having that kind of, authentic information on hand about whether they are vaccinated or whether they're having all the required tests, so they don't have to look for anybody. So this is very, very important, and this works on the QR code as well.
Ram,
so
really short of time. My apologies.
Yeah. So this is what we need to adapt. So thank you so much.
Your 1 minute starts now. Mamoon, over to you. Please keep it as brief.
All right, on Expo, I think similar to what Ram mentioned. I think it's gonna add lots and lots of opportunities. It all depends as well on the. I mean, we're yet to know what sort of targets have been set for Expo. If it's the same 20 million visitors that was in plan before COVID. Yeah, I think that's a huge number to cater over 6 months. I think that's gonna add lots of value to everybody in the industry, on the inbound and the ground servicing, on the hotels industry, airlines, everything. Two big events are gonna happen. So you have Expo, you have the World Cup next year in Qatar, especially now with the opening up between the region and Qatar once again. I think as an industry, hopefully by that time, with the vaccination scale going across the region, the potential is very, very, very high.
Wonderful. Positive. I love that. Okay, Arijit, you have the last word now. Though you started with the first word, but I give the last word. Over to you now.
Sanjeet, Expo 2020, absolutely. I'm personally looking forward to it, and anybody I speak to, I mean, we're all excited about it. And as long as we maintain or manage all the norms and the rules and regulations that's set up, I think it is a fantastic event we're all looking forward to. Coming back to, I mean, there are three key items I thought was very important for you, the panelists and the listeners, to, take away from what I have been experiencing and what I've been discussing about. And the three most, I think, the changes what we are seeing today is collection and dispersion of relevant information is becoming the first most important thing. We need to manage our delivery system, that is a digital adaptability and scalability, and understand what is contactless. I think these are the three most important things.
It's 12:30.
Thank you,
Sorry
sir.
about that. That's not me. That's technology for us. But anyway, thank you so much. We're really out of time now, and I really want to say thank to all three of you. You guys were brilliant. You managed your time. You said whatever in the time limit. I know, friends, a few of your questions have not been taken up, but we will try and reach out to our specialist today and I'll get you those answers. But this whole recording will also be available on Facebook tomorrow. You can actually tomorrow evening you can look at it. And all of you will see this and hear this at the Gulf Travel Show. Number 2, you will see that. And of course, through Travel TV, you will be seeing all of what us experts have spoken about. And all three of you, thank you very, very much. You were very, very good as I expected. And it was brilliant to host you and to talk to you. Thank you so much. And all the best to you in the future.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. It's a pleasure. Thank you.